bring it back, 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 bring it back.
Hello and welcome to NRL Rewind. Well, we have just found out that the Manly Sea Eagles are the first side through to the 2011 Grand Final. They've completed a 26 points to 14 victory over the Brisbane Broncos. The match has only been done for a few minutes. I'm still very much on a high from the result. Fantastic win for Manly. Set up really by a start that I think nobody expected. Right through that first 15 or 20 minutes, Manly came out all guns blazing, Matt Ballin scoring first, and Manly scored the first 3 tries of the match, en route to leading 16-0 before the Broncos really pegged the match back to being very close to level on a physical basis and a field position basis in the last 10 or so minutes of that first half. But to summarise the scoring for this match, because I don't have my usual fancy graphics for this video, Will Hopewadi scored a double for Manly, singles to Matt Ballin, Kieran Foran and Brett Stewart. For the Broncos, tries to Peter Wallace, Dale Copley and Jaral Yao-Yi. In particular, Yao-Yi's try, which got Brisbane back into the match late in that first half, was brilliant. He's done some pretty spectacular things, and that was certainly high on the list. He would be involved in something a little bit controversial that doesn't bode terribly well for Manly or Steve Matai later in the match, but we'll get to that a bit later. Manly were fantastic. They were really up for this match, particularly in that first half. They physically dominated. Brisbane, though, it was a typical Broncos performance. They weren't on. A lot of things went against Brisbane. I'll be the first to say this, that even as a Manly fan, if Manly had gotten the treatment from the referees that Brisbane got in this match, I would probably be wanting to scrutinise the referees' performance a little bit more. So I can understand there being a little bit of criticism from Brisbane as to the referees' performance. On the other hand, Manly had a lot of speed in their play the ball and their general play. They made it very difficult on the defence. It was what Manly do best when they're playing at their best. And of course, they get Glenn Stewart back for the grand final. On the flip side of that, late in the game, we saw 2 incidents involving Jaral Yao-Yi, the first being a high tackle by Tony Williams, who again showed how damaging he could be as a second row forward and how confident he is at the moment. That is going to be interesting. I don't know what his judiciary record is like, but so far as to say that it didn't look good. He certainly came in with what looked to be a swinging arm. I believe that it was more clumsy than anything else, but it certainly hit him down the bottom of the jaw, and he will have a case to answer. That tackle was, of course, placed on report. The second of those was leading with the knees by Steve Matai as Yao-Yi was attempting to score his second try. I don't so much know about this in terms of whether or not someone without Steve Matai's record would have as much to worry about, but if Steve Matai sneezes the wrong way, he gets 4 weeks. His judiciary record rivals that of Jack the Ripper. I'm fully expecting that he will miss the grand final, and you'll have either Michael Oldfield or possibly Dean Vare coming in the left centre position for Manly for the grand final. For Brisbane, look, they have had a sensational year. They were gallant in defeat tonight. They pushed and pushed and pushed right to the final siren. No luck this year, and of course we say goodbye to the legend Darren Lockyer. It was his final game, as it turns out, against the Dragons last week. He retires having played 355 games for the Broncos, so I think it's important to take a little bit of a moment to just say, to acknowledge the impact that he's had on the NRL throughout his career, and best of luck, Darren Lockyer, and you will be missed by the sport in general. Just a couple of other little notes from the game. Jamie Lyon had a stellar game. He was brilliant. A couple of key plays late in the match in terms of just being in the right place at the right time and having sure hands that saved really dangerous situations with Brisbane pressing. He was fantastic. Daly Cherry Evans was also brilliant with the ball in his hands. And I just want to throw this out there. I'm not sure if there's ever been a halfback that beats the first tackle so consistently. I've been watching that part of his game in particular over the last 6 or 8 weeks. The amount of times that he's able to brush off that first attempt to tackle for someone of his size is phenomenal. Kieran Foran was fantastic. Will Hopewadi had a brilliant first half. So a lot of bright spots coming out of Manly's performance. For the Broncos, Matt Gillette stood up really well, filling in for Darren Lockyer at 5'8". He's showing he's really got a lot of all-round skill for a man of his size. David Huller was an interesting one. In fact, the use of the interchange bench from both coaches was very interesting. We've seen in the last couple of matches that Des Hasler has been very deliberate in the way that he's used his interchange, and once again he left Jamie Buhrer and Tim Robinson until very late in the game to introduce them for the first time. It seems to be working really well. They're both coming in with fresh legs and really helping push the side over the line. As far as the Broncos, they got some good impact off the bench, particularly from Ben Teo. Shout out to Jonathan Maines and Lance Vallow, who'll enjoy that I'm giving Ben Teo a bit of a rap in this video. He was very good off the bench, Ben Teo. Didn't see or know of David Huller's participation in this match until 2 minutes from full time. So I think he'll be disappointed that he didn't make more of an impact in this game, because he is one to watch definitely for the future. He's big, he runs hard. He should have really had more of an impact coming off the bench, I feel. That aside, it was a great game, very high intensity. Of course, both sides playing to make it into the grand final. Manly now get to sit back and watch Melbourne versus New Zealand tomorrow to see who they'll be going up against. There will be some nervous moments come the judiciary. I'm expecting both reported players to be suspended. I'm not going to complain a whole lot about it. I think both incidences are worthy of suspension. I think the side will still look incredibly strong. Glenn Stewart will come in for Tony Williams, and I expect Michael Oldfield will probably shift into the centres for Steve Matai. I think that they'll play Melbourne. I'm tipping Melbourne to win tomorrow, but already looking forward to the grand final. It's going to be a great week for me, great week for Sea Eagles supporters, and that's where I'll finish this video. I'll post another one tomorrow after the second semi-final and give you a rundown similar to what I've given you here. So thank you very much for watching. As always, don't forget to like this video, rate it thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe to this YouTube account. Click that subscribe button up the top there. And don't forget to follow us on Twitter and become a fan on Facebook.